Hey, and welcome everybody. Hope you are having a terrific Tuesday. I know I am, and I'm ready for some more college football, as I know you are too. And big playoff news. We're going to stay with the 12 teams, with the top six. Uh, I guess we'll say conferences. I was going to say P5s, but uh, it's going to be P4, of course, with the Pac-12 out. So let's say the Big Ten, the SEC, the ACC, and the Big 12 each get their team in. The winner should get in. And you're going to have six at large, probably going to come. I mean, it could come maybe one from a G5, but most likely all are going to come from a P5. And so you're going to get two conferences in from the G5. Most likely their winners are going to get in. Could be three if if one of those power conferences has a bad year. So we can talk about that. We can talk to you OSU fans and other fans who might be interested. I mean, Mike Gundy's been to 17 straight bowl games. He's one of the most tenured college football coaches around. He's done nothing but win until recently. He's going to probably have the first losing season in OSU history in 18 years, pretty much since he went on that streak. So I want to know, how loyal are you OSU fans to Mike Gundy? It's not necessarily the record to me, and I'm not necessarily saying he should be fired. Now, I do believe that he needs to look at a coordinator on the offensive coordinator, Casey Dunn. I think he also needs to look at the offensive line. I think he needs to look at a few other spots. And more than that, he needs to get involved as much as possible and as much as legally possible with the good folks in the NIL and the transfer portal, because we've lost players to both, and a combination of both. Saying I'm an Oklahoma State grad 2 times, so everybody's got a team they root for. Most media don't let you know. They pretend that they're neutral, and when you've been in the media a long time, you do become more neutral, unless you cover just one team, which I do not ever do that. I know the folks in the sports information department at Oklahoma State feel like I should give them warm fuzzies all day. No, it's my alma mater. I'll probably be harder on you than anybody else, kind of like your own kids, right? When you coach them, you're tougher on them, right? When you have a kid over, spend the weekend with your kid, and they both do something stupid, who do you get on? You get on your own kid more, right? That's just the way it's going to be. So we've got the 12-team playoff to talk about. We've got the Gundy situation to talk about. What else should we talk about? How about this? It kind of makes me nauseous to mention it, but the University of Texas Longhorns may be the best team in college football. They're certainly a bona fide playoff team. Right now, just the look and feel factor, they got it all over the rest of the Big 12. So I think they'll beat the Sooners pretty handily here in 2 weeks. And I think that they're going to be awfully tough. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. And you can bring up your own topics. As always, we do that. But those are the big 3 topics of the day. And would love to talk to you about that. See, we've got some people jump in. Hey, jump on that chat line. We love to talk to the fans first. That's what we do here on the Greg Swaim Show. Looking forward to that. Okay, I'm still getting texts, because we did that for 100 years in the radio show. That was the best way to get your message in and out. So we're still getting those, but I want you to you folks jump on the chat board, please. And while you're here, hey, go ahead and like the video. Well, even if you don't like the video, I guess that's when you say you don't like it, that's better than doing nothing at all. So I would prefer you like it. If you do, great. We'd love to have you. If you don't, hey, well, I guess you're probably not going to be around long. So if you love college football and college basketball, though, this is the place to be for sure. Hey, want to thank, got a new sponsor. Want to let you know all about the good folks at Treasure Investment Corporation. and they do great artwork, unbelievable artwork. Matter of fact, on Donald Trump's desk and sitting on the desk in the Reagan Library, Ronald Reagan had some of their artwork, and some other great famous people, politicians, artists as well, own some artwork from Treasure Investment Corporation, TIC. And of course, you can follow them on Twitter. You can follow them on every place, really, and YouTube. They've got a great YouTube site with a lot of good stuff. And TJ jumps in, asks this show's audio, not video. It's normally both. It's both audio and video. Today I had a little camera issue, and this is only like our second, third week, so still learning some of this video stuff. But TJ, appreciate your jumping in today. It will be audio, but normally we'll have video too. And tomorrow we'll definitely have video because we have the lovely Lacey Underall joins us. No, that's of course she was on Caddyshack, and also she played Yori on Tron. I never saw Tron. I probably see that tonight, so it gives me another question maybe to ask her tomorrow. And of course, if you have any questions tomorrow, we can add those in as well. But yeah, I think everybody's probably seen Caddyshack, right? So good stuff. Okay, get some feedback on the text line. Mike Gundy agreeing with me somewhat that it's not just the record that they're going to have a bad record this year. It's the reason that they're going to have a bad record, and the reason that they're going to have more bad records if Gundy stays. He is too stubborn to fire any of his friends, and I get that. But, yeah, it's hard to watch that offense particularly. He's loyal to a fault, and he also, there's players that are now, I mean, and we're talking guys in the NFL, and I'm not going to give up, where I hear all this stuff, because some of these people are employed by Oklahoma State University in the athletic department, and some of these people depend on the athletic department at Oklahoma State. I do not. So I'll go ahead and say what they can't say on the air or can't say anywhere. And here's the deal. There are guys that have been here for 4 or 5 years that have been terrific players that are in the NFL right now, 2 of which say they don't really remember ever having a conversation with Mike Gundy past the recruiting point. That's an issue. Now, in fairness, these guys have been out before last spring when Mike was apparently called on the carpet by both the president and the athletic director for not showing up. I mean, you got to be at practice, Mike. You got to be there all day in case a kid, in between class needs to talk to you. You got 85 guys on scholarship. You got some more that are not on scholarship. But if you're going to, as a parent, if my kid's going to play for you, I want to know you got their back. I want to know you're basically their parent for 4 years when I can't be there. And when word gets around, and it's getting around, that Mike has very little conversation with his players. He's worried about his own kids. He's, which is great. He's worried about his farm. He's worried about all that stuff he spends a lot of time doing. That's fine and dandy. Fine and dandy. But what's not fine and dandy is not having your players back and not being a part of your players' life. They're your kids too. And I think Mike has lost touch with a lot of that. I think Mike is burnt out, which, what makes total sense. Mike was the best coach for the job for the last 16 years, we'll say. And then NIL and the portal came around, and he has not adjusted. He's as much as said he's not into the NIL. He's not into the portal. He would just assume they not exist. I don't disagree, but I'm not getting $6 million to go out there and win ball games by doing all the things you need to do to win ball games. And one of the things he's not doing, 2 of the things he's not doing, he's not getting out there and being so active in recruiting. And then when we get here, he's not a part of it, which you have to be now back in the day, just a couple years ago, kid comes on campus. You know what? You've already done what you need to do to get him there. Now his position coach and all that stuff, that's their baby. And they're going to take care of it. Well, no, that doesn't work anymore. You know why? Because he's got 5 other schools out there begging him to come out there and willing to pay more NIL. How do you think the guys with Pokes for a Purpose felt when they saw that Gundy is basically poo-pooing everything that, you pay? That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And that's got to change. I'm not saying Mike needs to be fired, but I'm saying that he definitely needs a reality check. This year is going to be a big reality check if they keep playing the way they're playing. They may not win another game. But he does need to look into getting a new coordinator on the offensive side. And also, besides that, he definitely needs a replacement on the offensive line. That offensive line is terrible. We've got one great player. And I mean, everybody in the Big 12 I've talked to that has seen Ollie Gordon says he might be one of the better backs in the Big 12, but who knows, because he's behind the worst line and probably the worst quarterback in the Big 12. Depending on which 3 are out there, they're all pretty bad. I'm not going to mince words. You get that. There's a guy in Stillwater who, God bless him, he's just so blinded to Mike Gundy. He's known the kid since he's in high school and, hung around him, interviewed him all through high school. And then, of course, he's an OSU homer. So I'm an OSU guy. I'm an OSU alum, but I'm no homer. I'll tell you when things are wrong, and they are really, really, really wrong. You can jump in on the chat line as TJ did, and I see a couple other folks jumping in. We'd love to have you. The other thing, hey, is Texas the best team in college football right now? Are they? I don't know. I'm asking you. I think they're one of the top. I certainly think if I had to pick 4 teams right now, they're definitely in the mix for making the playoffs for sure. And then there were some other type things we were talking about. Will the Big 12 add teams? I still continue to hear rumors from Corvallis, Oregon, and Washington State's oh my gosh, what is the town Washington State? Pullman, Washington. I continue to hear news out that way that there, some kind of negotiation. I can't tell you. I can't cross all the T's and dot all the I's, but can tell you there's some talks. I can't tell you how serious talks. I can't tell you if there's anything that will materialize from it, but I can tell you that the good folks in Pullman and Corvallis definitely would rather be part of the Big 12. Now you heard some news the other night that the Big 12 turned down Stanford and Cal. So that probably would lead to, well, if they're not going to take Stanford and Cal, why would they take Washington State and Oregon State? I'll tell you why. It's a much better fit. First of all, Yormark wants some teams out on the Pacific time zone. So it'll be the first conference the Big 12 would to say, hey, we've got all 4 time zones in the contiguous United States. So, okay. Also want to thank, I told you about our newest sponsor, Treasure Investments Corporation. Of course, our good friend Karen Johnson. We'll let you know a little bit more about her. I just put something on Twitter and Facebook and some of the other social media sites for Karen's company. Of course, you can get hold of her anytime at Karen Key Largo on Twitter. And Karen's one of our good friends. And she's an A&M fan, but she's also, she's living up in Nebraska now. So she's a Huskers fan too. Scott Hammer over at Cruise Planners. He is our official vacation guy. We want to take a vacation. We call Scott. You should too. Helping Hands, Ray of Sunshine, Mark and Cindy Welch, our good friends. They take care of those folks that, like maybe some of your parents, like my parents. They're not quite ready to move into a nursing home, but they need somebody that they want to stay in their home, which you can understand that. Everybody wants to stay in their home, but they need a little help to do that. And Mark and Cindy Welch, the good folks at Helping Hands Ray of Sunshine, they will definitely make that possible. Alan Cashman, the CashmanWins.com. We'll have him on every Friday. The CashmanWins.com. Our good friend Alan Cashman, everybody who's jumping aboard that $52 package for NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball, the entire package, $52 for the entire year. Nobody does it. Nobody would even dream of doing something like that. Alan Cashman does that. We have him on every Friday to help you win. And of course, you can jump ahead, get in early, thecashmanwins.com, and get hold of that $52 package. Of course, our corporate sponsors, DoorDash and Wendy's, they keep me on the level. I say I'm on the level because my bubble's in the middle. I'm a fat guy, I know it. And those of you who grew up with me, even in college, know how skinny I used to be. I'm not anymore. And so, well, you look better with that. Well, I may look better, but definitely don't feel better. Part of that's age as well. But want to thank all of our sponsors. That's why when you get on this show, you're not having to spend any money. You're not having to pay $5 to make a statement or jump on the chat or anything like that. Not saying we won't do that eventually as we get bigger, and we have some other shows as well in the hopper that'll be part of this channel. But right now, no. So topics of the day, and that doesn't mean you have to stick to those topics. Texas is it the number one team? 12-team playoff. What do you think about it? What changes would you make? And should Mike Gundy be fired at Oklahoma State if he doesn't win another game? Which, if you've seen him the last 2 weeks, that's definitely a possibility. I don't know. They play Baylor. Baylor looks real beatable. Baylor looks awful. Baylor looks, and Iowa State's bad, but they played another bad team in Oklahoma State. So there you go. Okay. Other things coming up. Does Colorado have any chance at all at beating USC? I don't think so. I just don't. They've been exposed a little bit. It's a good story, and I think that they're about another recruiting class away, and then they come to the Big 12 and chomp everybody up. Could happen. They're going to be awfully strong. All those guys get a year in the system, and other guys coming in, things like that. Okay. Is that, this is audio only today, but tomorrow we'll have full video. I've got a maintenance guy coming in that's fixing all this gear up that I probably screwed up putting together. And we will have the lovely Lacey Underall. Yeah, I call her that because that's what everybody knows her at, right? Lacey Underall. But of course, if you're on Twitter, Facebook, any of that, you know all about her. We've got her bio, and she was on Tron, played Yori. I have not seen Tron. If you've seen Tron, tell me what you think about Tron and Yori. I know what everybody thinks about Caddyshack. We've been down that road before, but anyway. Okay, got a couple of texts. Folks, I want to encourage you, folks that have been texting me for a million years on the radio show, please join us on the chat page. Please do that. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to the page so we can keep you up to date with all the great guests we have on it coming up. Of course, Lacey Underall, Jay Billis. Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think who all we've got. Desmond Howard, people like that. So we're excited about it. Of course, basketball right around the corner, too. And, of course, those of you who've been following us and listening to us for a million years, you know that we're all about recruiting. So we will have some top recruits on as they make their decisions on some of the top football and basketball programs. We will have them on live to even if we had to come on for an extra live show, we'll do that for a 4 or 5 stars commitment. So if you're the parent of a 4 or 5 star, or you are a 4 or 5 star, or a high school coach of a 4 or 5 star, and you want to get a little pub for your commitment ceremony, we can do that. Just get hold of me. You can, email me, at gswaim@gmail.com. And we would love to get you on. Okay. Got a couple more texts we're going to get to. Reminder, we prefer you join us on the chat line, but we'll get to those texts at least for a little while, because I know the transition from radio to YouTube and all that stuff is different, and you get used to just doing the chat page, or the text. We would prefer that. We would prefer to have you on here all the time. Which, this kind of like radio, is kind of like TV. I know we're not on video today, but we will certainly have that fixed by tomorrow. I really was hoping we'd have it done today, and didn't get my guy out here in time. So we're going to have to get that done. Okay. Other few things coming up. And let's see here. USC. How strong is USC right now? How strong is USC? I don't know. I mean, we'll find out a little bit more. They got to go on the road and play a Colorado team. They didn't look great against Arizona State. And I get it. Late at night, Arizona State is Arizona State. They're pretty bad. They'll unless they get much better, they'll fight for the basement of the Big 12 next year. How about that? With the new 16 teams. So, okay. A couple more questions we've got on the chat page. Greg, why are you not on video today? Some technical issues, and we'll get those fixed certainly by tomorrow, because believe me, you don't want to see. I'm doing you a favor by not showing you my face, but you know what Lacey Enderall looks like, so you'll want to see her tomorrow, no doubt about it. Okay, we've got quite a few new subscribers. We'll get to those here in just a second and let you know all about them. We like to give our subscribers out, and in that way, hey, they get a little pub, know what's going on as well. James Comers, Comers, appreciate him. OK State, OKC jumps in on the chat, says, what's the chance we get Gundy? Oh, I'd say he's not going to be gone after this year, even if they lose every single game, but he would have to make some significant changes. I think he's going to be on a very, very hot seat next season, depending on what he does in the offseason with NIL and transfer portal. You know, that's my thing about it. You don't fire a coach who's had 17 straight winning seasons, gone to bowls. Some of those were New Year's Six bowls, just missed the it was BCS championship 2011, and then a couple years ago, the 14 playoff, just missed that. So, yeah, you would, first of all, if you fire a guy who's had 17 straight bowl games, you would send shockwaves throughout the country that, well, why would I want to go to Oklahoma State? I can't even afford one losing season. And you and I know that's not what it's about. It's why you don't fire a guy with 17 straight bowl games unless there are certain extenuating circumstances like there are. Mike, to me, has just quit. The rules changed, and Mike did not adjust at all not because he couldn't, because he wouldn't. Mike is a very stubborn guy. Mike has been stubborn since the day I met him when he was in high school. So, he's a stubborn guy. His dad's a stubborn guy. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I don't think he'll be fired, but I do think he's going to get a kind of a ultimatum that these things need to happen with the NIL and the portal, and you need to make some changes on the offensive line and the offensive coordinator, and perhaps a few other positions, but I don't think he's going to be fired. Also says, well, at least adapt. He's not showing he's willing to adapt at all. Robert said today that we're still trying to find donors to pay for our budget for athletes. Oh, my gosh. Well, you lost me at Robert Allen, as you know, but Robert Allen is just an ass kisser, okay? That's all Robert. Do you know what he is in the athletic department? And I know this. because I've had relatives in the athletic department over years. Aggie Allen, he's laughed at. He's a joke. They put up with him because if they tell him blue is white and yellow is green, he'll get it for him. That's why. I mean, Robert Allen is a joke. He's a joke in the athletic department. He kisses everybody's ass. You know what? I'm kind of liking where I can say ass and stuff like that and say what I really mean, and I don't have to hold it back for the radio. It's kind of a new thing, kind of like it. I'm not going to throw out any F-bombs just to be cool or anything like that. But, you know, I sometimes you have to throw in an adjective or two. I can't say everything I think about Robert Allen because, and then, so why do you like Robert Allen? Well, you haven't had to work with him, okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Work with him for a couple of days. You'll want to take a pop at him. Like when I worked at Triple Play, we had two guys that just about took a pop at him. And I told him, man, I'll give you a little money if you finish a job. We all wanted to see it. So anyway, that being said, by the way, Boone Pickens just gave $350 million posthumously to OSU. I don't think the budget's really hurting right now. And as far as finding donors to pay for the budget for athletics, that is Robert's way of he's an apologist. And he's like, well, we got to get this for the budget or we can't get our NIL money. Hey, shit or get off the pot, dude. Seriously. We're either going to play to compete to win, or let's go G5 or D2 or whatever. Because the name of the game has changed. The rules have changed. And if you don't play by the new rules, you're going to get your butt kicked. That's all there is to it. And guess what? He didn't do everything he could have with NIL and let guys out through the portal. 13 starters last year. Very few were made up. And what's happening is because of this. What you're seeing on the field the last 2 weeks, really the last 4 weeks, which was not good, is a result of Mike Gundy just going, hey, I'm not – if I didn't know better, a lot of people say, Greg, Mike's not trying to get fired so he can get his $24-25 million and go play on the farm all day, which is what he does anyway. Yeah. Listen, I like Mike. Mike, I've told you guys this before. Mike's brought his kids to my basketball events for years. Mike would, if his kids' games were the last games, he would stick around and talk to the refs and talk to the staff and pick up chairs and put them up and things like that you do at the end of a tournament. I've always liked Mike. Mike called me up one time on a Thursday. Greg, the tournament my kid was in got canceled. Or any way we can get in? Sure, coach, no problem. And I love what he's done for my alma mater. And I loved him as a player and as assistant. But it is what it is. It would be comparable to my wife, who I've been married to almost 33 years now, if she came in one day and go, you know, I'm just not willing to do what it takes to put up with you anymore, Greg, which we could certainly all understand, right? But it would end right there because she's out. She's checked out mentally, physically, psychologically, whatever. And so, because it takes two to tango, right? Well, in this case, Mike has been great since 1986, since he was a freshman here at OSU. And Pat Jones had enough with Ronnie Williams at halftime that Houston game. I think we're down by like 3 touchdowns. And Pat goes, you want to see a freshman out there? You want to see a true freshman out there? Mike didn't even have pads in his helmet. They had to put those in at halftime so he could get up there and play. And the rest is history. He was a great player. He was a great assistant. He had a lot of energy back then. Probably didn't have kids and as much family time he had to spend. I appreciate that he's a great family man too. I mean, his kids' games, and it's not always easy to do. But the bottom line is, you know, not how many you graduate, although a lot of people want to say that. You know, how much face time you get, how long your mullet is, all that stuff. Can you get players here and can you win? And he has until recently, and the rules have changed. He those 2 and 3 stars that everybody missed out on and turns them into 4 or 5 stars anymore. You know why? Because once he turns them into 4 or 5 stars, we don't have the NIL to keep up with others, and they're going to take those guys. We got Oklahoma State guys all over the country now doing very, very well. They were here last year. They were here the year before. We had good seasons. They're not here anymore, and Mike's not doing what you got to do to keep them here, and Mike's not doing what you got to do because you're going to lose some. Everybody loses some, right? Alabama loses a ton. They get 4 or 5 stars that don't start as freshmen. They get pissed and they go somewhere else. Colorado has 4 of them. TCU's got some of them. They're all over the place too. But they got a lot more players to lose. We can't afford to lose players. And until Mike, pulls a string and says, hey, I was really hoping after last spring when he got called on the carpet after some things came up about how little time he spends on campus when he should be. We all know that. That's old. Now, you're not going to hear that probably from Robert Allen. I would say if you heard that from Robert Allen, he's probably being tortured somewhere, being forced to say the truth. But, if you're wanting the real news, I can name about 10 guys better than Robert Allen for Oklahoma State news. My man Cody's one of them. He's got the news, and it's the real stuff. It's not OSU apology, Homer stuff either. Okay, I got a question on the text here. OK State, OKC, appreciate you, my friend. A reminder, Alan Cashman's on every Friday. CashmanWins.com. The dude is 69.7 on all college games. And you know how much it costs to get his entire service, not just for college football and basketball, but for the NFL and the NBA, the entire year, $52 total. You'll win that in your very first bet. I'm not a gambler, but I like to throw out a 20 every now and again when Alan tells me it's a real high percentage. So far, I've won every game. Can't do much better than that. Anyway, hey, want to remind you tomorrow we have a great show. Tell your friends, email them, text them, put it on your social media account, whatever it takes. We have a show tomorrow, and told you about the lovely, lovely Lacey Underall. Of course, her real name's Cindy Morgan, and you can follow her on Twitter. Heck, go to Twitter, and it's Cindy Morgan _. Okay, because there's probably about 50,000 Cindy Morgans on the planet. Cindy Morgan _ of course, played Lacey Underall on Caddyshack and Yori on Tron. She'll join us 6. We'll have video, at least from her. You don't want to see me. You want to see her. I get it. She is terrific. I don't know if you do this. We've had Cindy on probably 4 or 5 times the last dozen years. And she started out in college radio doing sports at Northern Illinois University up in the Chicago area. She is a Catholic girl from Chicago, and she's went to Catholic school and everything. She'll tell you all about it. Get those questions in tomorrow at 6 o'clock as we bring on the lovely Cindy Morgan. And if you haven't been to our Twitter page, it's pretty hot right now. Get out there, and folks, while you're here, please, 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 it costs you nothing, no obligations. You won't be on a mailing list or anything like that. Subscribe to the page, the channel, Greg Swain channel. Subscribe, and also, if you could, like it and click that notification button. Hey, that's going to do it. You folks have a great, great evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.